Hi everybody, I'm Sharpen Blade, and today we are going to take a look at a knife from TwoSun. This is the TS06-CF, the carbon fiber version. I believe this is the more updated version of this knife. The first version that came out was all titanium. This one has the show scale that's carbon fiber. I got this knife from White Mountain Knives for $65.99. I will leave a link to this knife in the description below. It's currently sold out, but you can sign up for email notification when it does come back in stock. White Mountain Knives keeps a pretty good selection of TwoSun knives in their inventory. It sells out and they get new stuff in fairly often, so it's a good idea to keep an eye on their website if you like TwoSun knives. So the blade, it is 3.35 inches long. It's a Tanto. It's D2. This is a night morning design. It's D2. It's satin finish. It's a flat grind. Came very sharp out of the box. It has a nice swedge up here, and there's a secondary swedge, I guess you'd call it, down here. However, keep in mind this is a budget knife. The swedges, they start here. I don't know if they'll pick it up very well on camera. They don't line up perfectly, but not a big deal. Like I say, it is. I don't know if you can see that very well or not. Here we go. So you can see this one starts back here, and this one starts up here a little farther, but not a big deal. It is a budget knife. It is 0.15 inches thick, so it's a decent sized blade, both in length and in thickness. It has a good sized tip on it. The handle length is 4.65 inches. This side is carbon fiber, titanium backspacer, titanium pocket clip, titanium on this side of the scale. It has a lock bar insert here, since it is titanium. It's a lot of nice milling on the titanium and on the pocket clip. Same goes over here. It's a little bit harder to see, but there's just very slight, I don't think I'm going to be able to pick it up in my camera. You can kind of see up here very slight milling in the carbon fiber. So it adds a little bit of grip, not a lot, but a little bit. There's some jimping here. And on the flipper tab, cool little hole in the flipper tab too, adds a nice little touch of detail. It is 1/2 inch thick. There's an overall length of 8 inches, and it weighs 3.35 ounces. It compares very well in size to the Rat Model 1, and therefore it's a little bit bigger than the Rat Model 2. It has nice ergos because it's a very neutral handle shape. So for me, it's a little thin this way. If it was a little taller, it would be better for my hands, and also for another problem that I'll talk about in a minute. But it feels nice in hand. There's no real hot spots. You can feel the pocket clip slightly just because it's there. And you can feel this edge. It's not sharp, but it is square. They rounded it slightly in it's going to focus around it slightly in here, but this raised edge here is square, so you do feel it in your hand. I wouldn't call it a hot spot, but you do feel it in your hand when you hold it. Other than that, though, it is very, I wouldn't say super comfortable, but there's nothing really, it's neutral. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing sticks out as me saying, oh, that makes it uncomfortable. But there's, for me, it's just a little bit too narrow this way. The action is very nice. It's on ball bearings. Oh, I'll show you this too. It has an internal stop pin on there. See, I messed it up with my thumb there, but very smooth. Overall, I really like this knife. It has a nice design to it. It looks nice on display. However, oh, and it's nice to use too. You know, it's sharp and it cuts things, so that's great for a knife, right? There's a couple things I don't like about it. You can feel, so I can touch this part of the knife right here, this part of the blade. I can touch that. So I haven't cut myself on it, but if you were to jam your hand into your pocket and you were to jam your hand into this, you would probably cut your pinky right here. I don't think you would slice your whole hand open, but you would cut your pinky on that if you were to jam it in. Like I say, I carried it for a week, never cut myself, but I can touch it there, and you can touch the point here. I'm touching it right now. So that's a couple of things that's not 100% great. Like I say, if it was a little bit taller of a knife, you wouldn't have that problem. This part right here wouldn't be sticking up. This is more aesthetics than any real problem, but you wouldn't notice the swedge up here if it was a little bit taller. And if they brought this back spacer all the way down to here, they'd have to mill it out a little bit differently, but you wouldn't touch that too. So a couple of things they could have changed that would have gotten rid of those problems fairly easily. The only other problem I have is the pocket clip is not very, well, it's deep, but you know, it sits in the pocket decently well this way, but you can't fit a whole lot of material in there. Most of my pants have like a reinforced pocket on them, so this knife will fit in there, but it's very hard to get it in and very hard to get it out. A couple of my pairs of pants aren't reinforced. The pockets are just like normal thickness, and this is great. It slides right in, no problem. But if you have reinforced pockets or thick material on your pants, you probably will have some problems getting it in and out. It's nice that this is angled off of the lock bar, so when you go to open the knife, if your fingers are on the pocket clip, you're not putting any pressure on the lock bar, which allows it to open easier. But I don't I don't like seeing that. Now this is just a very minor nitpick, but I don't like seeing that little hole there where they start the milling. Not a big fan of that. Most of the time that's hidden because this is angled down to here just to cover that up. But anyways, whatever. To each their own. Also the lack of, this is, I guess this is not a negative thing, this is a positive thing. The lack of screws is nice. Everything's T8 as well, except for those two, but everything that you need to take out of the knife to take the knife apart is T8, which is very nice. And overall, I have a very positive opinion of this knife. Like I say, it looks nice. It's nice to carry. It's nice to use. It's just There's a couple things with the blade you have to be aware of when you're carrying it. But other than that, I would recommend the knife. If you are concerned at all with that, you might want to pass on it. And I don't blame you for that at all. But if, you can just kind of dull that down a bit if you wanted to. Because you really can only feel this point right here. So you could kind of dull that a bit. And then you don't have to worry about it so much. You will still poke yourself on the point if you stick your finger in there, but just keep your finger out of there. But yeah, anyways, accidents can happen, so just be aware of the fact that you can come in contact with sharp things on this knife. But it will be staying in my collection because I do like the look of it, and I think for $65.99 it's a pretty good value, as most TwoSuns are. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.